Are we going?
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago, an indie game was able to get an amiibo. Before my channel started, all the way back in 2014. This is Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight came out back in 2014. Starting off with the singular game Shovel Knight, now known as Shovel of Hope. Inspired by games of the late 80s and early 90s such as Mega Man, Shovel Knight became a hit indie success, soon gaining a lot of praise on the internet, as well as having one of the most successful Kickstarters of recent memory. The game came out creating a wildly fun and adventurous game. Available on 3DS, Wii U, PlayStation Vita, PS4, and Xbox One. I actually picked up the 3DS version myself. I later got around to beating it, but that was when it came out on the Switch. The original Shovel Knight is a very fun game, but it shows that it has its problems with it both being the first game by Yacht Club, as well as its NES influence. Which does suck. I thought the game was extremely fun. And it was really cool. But due to its NES influence, as I said, it had a problem. Its difficulty. Which isn't a problem for me now, but it definitely was for 6 years ago, Brandon. I would have been 7. For 7-year-old Brandon. The game was extremely difficult. But extremely fun. The game had a lot of flavor and benefited from modern innovations such as widescreen. As well as getting a lot of awesome free add-ons. And just as Yacht Club promised, it got a sequel. A few years ago, back in 2015, this game released. It was a sequel / co-assignment to Shovel Knight. Plague of Shadows. Soon getting Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows. a sequel spin-off that came with most versions of Shovel Knight, excluding 3DS and PS Vita. Every other version of the game got this, though. It is the worst of the Shovel Knight expansions. Which, no, costs $0 extra if you already own the game. Plague of Shadows was, dare I say it, bad. It's actually the only Shovel Knight campaign I never got around to beating. Plague Knight controls finicky and awkward. I enjoy the game's collectibles, but it just isn't as fun as its predecessor. Despite it being tied for the most recent game in the Shovel Knight timeline. I have a problem with Plague of Shadows because of that. And the thing is, I actually really like Plague Knight as a character. And I think some of the changes they made to his story were great. Small changes like making a shopkeep an important member of the story in Mona. And I'll be honest, his finicky control actually makes for fun platforming. But his stages are way too similar to Shovel Knight. And, well, I dislike him. It's still a fun game, at least of what I've played. And small changes like in Plague Knight's stage, you fight Shovel Knight. Which are small changes I'm glad the other two game modes made in a way. Which I'll get into later. But thankfully, they had a high increase in greatness in the next installment.
Action.
Back in 2017, the best installment in the Shovel Knight series, in my opinion, Spectre of Torment released. Next up is Spectre Knight's campaign, Spectre of Torment. And if you don't think that this is a phenomenal mode, then think again. Spectre Knight controls extremely differently from the other two campaigns at the moment of its release. With his slash scythe, as well as cling, wall jump, bash, and much more, he created a super fun playstyle that is by far my favorite playstyle of any Shovel Knight character. He has his flaws, but unlike Plague Knight, he brought a ton of new mechanics to his levels, as well as an awesome new scythe riding mechanic. He's a super fun character. And I'm glad that he is a playable character. Legitimately, if I kind of wish he had more levels. His story's darker, and I feel that could be a problem to some. Which I understand. I'll say that much. And I'm not as big of a fan of the dark atmosphere. But the small changes it made, like in his stage, the Lich Shard, you fight a special hidden boss, Phantom Striker, in his place, which honestly, out of all the bosses at the moment, that was definitely the most fitting one for him to fight. As you recruit knights, them joining you, and other small things like that, made this game super phenomenal. On top of its extra stages being stylized like Game Boy games. The only thing is I would not recommend playing this before the original Shovel Knight, as it has heavy spoilers of the Enchantress.
Action.
After 5 years of waiting, King of Cards finally released. The newest and not greatest installment in the series released. King Knight's campaign, the newest and by far longest to take campaign, has shorter levels and less fluid control than Spectre Knight. But in exchange, you get a fun and shorter campaign, in my opinion. The levels are a lot easier to take in bite-sized doses. Which makes it a lot easier to play at short bursts. It's missing some polish that Spectre Knight has. But in exchange for that, you get an extremely fun campaign that legitimately was worth the wait. And also why it took so long to release this video. But totally, I only decided to make it like that. I would have made one sooner. But also it was relevant again. I need views. Legitimately, King Knight, I don't have much to say. As his story is once again a prequel. Filled with good charm. And King Knight as a character has a lot more upbeat tone. Especially compared to the previous campaign of Spectre Knight. All of the bosses are brand new except for the Enchantress. As you fight the former king, who is totally not trying to hit on your mom. In exchange for King Knight himself, you fight the Truffle King, which was a great change, and I actually did think he was fun. And you fight the cutest character in the game. God, I'm tired. I can't remember his name, but he's one of those like little firebirds. He's so cute. legitimately, a lot of charm was put into King Knight's campaign, especially the brand new card game. So, great job, King Knight. And great job, Yacht Club.
Go.
The Shovel Knight series is still growing and expanding. The first 4 games, now at a price of around $40, originally around $10, have highly increased in price, but their value has increased as well. If you own an older copy of Treasure Trove for something like the Wii U and you want to check out the game, like Spectre of Torment, definitely do. The game will be waiting for you for free. So, definitely check out the game. And I guess I'll go dig into a 16-bit predecessor. Stupid joke. Yes.
Go.
Before my channel started, this game was making the rounds on the internet. Back in 2014, a indie game big enough to get an amiibo. Don't own the actual one, I own a gold one though. Was able to be released on every single system. And did I damage it?
Okay.
Can we take 2?
And action.
The Shovel Knight. Riley.
3, 2, 1.
The Shovel Knight series. Dog. The Shovel Knight series. I'm sorry, I'm too jumped up if you yell.
Catnip.